to recover better from.
All right. Let me go on and ask, get some questions from the telephone on the line. Here's Antonio calling from North York. Antonio, do you have a question for the candidates?
Yes, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, I want to just congratulate the candidates for participating. I think this is great that you're fostering and upholding our democracy. My first question is, with respect to party politics, I want to touch on is it George Singh?
Yes,
the candidate for the Green?
Yes.
He said that this is not about the party politics, but it is about which representative could best meet the demands of the riding. Mm-hmm. And so my question is, what happens if you are elected, that your party has the current platform that you have, and you individually cannot agree to that? So could you debate among yourselves? That is, does the NDP have a platform that the NDP candidate tonight cannot individually adhere to, and the Green and the Conservatives, etc.?
Okay, you want to know if their own personal attitudes and opinions match the party.
And what they perceive that the constituent needs are, and how different. For example, if I made the Conservative proposal for how they're going to attack crime, does the Conservative candidate agree with that? Does the NDP, and so on and so forth?
Okay, all right, Antonio.
I can tell you this much. The Green Party's policy is for the MPs to have their own independent voice. That's what makes us different from the other governmental parties. That's what makes us a true democracy. You will find that if a Liberal candidate, excuse me, if a Liberal candidate is not in conjunction, his riding is not in conjunction with the party wants, he will go with the party. He will thereby disrespect and disengage his riding. Green Party is not about that. They're about true democracy, responsible government.
How would you address some of Antonio's concerns?
Antonio, what I got 3 points out of your question. One was upholding democracy and party politics, and if I agree to it, and how would I vote. Luckily for me, I'm with the New Democratic Party, which is actually democratic, and my personal policies and principles align with those of the party, and that's why I'm with the NDP. And the party itself doesn't bring out the whip and say you must vote one way or the other. We are a caucus that allows for, or our caucus is allowed to vote whichever way is the best interest of our community. And me, as a member of the community, I will always have the best interest of my constituents. Okay. And that's how I will always vote.
Well, the party brings out the whip once in a while, but we won't.
Once in a while, but it's not always out.
Okay. Marlene Gallyot, what would you say to Antonio?
Well, as a Conservative Party member, I believe in the policies. It aligns in what I believe in as a mother of 4 children. It's about family values. It's about creating jobs. As a small business owner, I understand what it is about creating jobs, and also about lowering taxes and about the economy. All this fits well with our day-to-day lives. And I think regarding crime, yes, it is important for us. And Stephen Harper's government is tough on crime, and we are not going to tolerate, sex offenders or sexual predators or murderers, because I know that the Liberals want to excuse them and put them back into society, which is unacceptable.
If I may also chime in on this crime part.
We don't have a Liberal candidate, by the way, and so when you hear these Liberal charges, unfortunately, Rana Sarkar is not with us this evening.
It's kind of just like the Liberal leadership, right? Doesn't show up to 70% of the votes in the Parliament. Right. The candidate here locally doesn't show up either.
Do you want to reply to what Marlene was saying?
Yes, I want to reply to the crime thing. We can't be, in Scarborough Rouge-River, we have the highest percentage youth to population ratio, and our youth, especially our racialized youth, are being criminalized in Scarborough Rouge-River, and this cannot continue to go on, especially when the real white-collar criminals are the ones that your party, the Conservative Party, has put in our Senate. And that's my comment on the crime.
Okay, let me go to George Singh. I'll come back to Marlene.
Yep. Youth issues is something that's dear to my heart. Since 19 years old, I've been working with a youth center and bringing kids into the environment where they're around professionals. I've been a mentor to many youth, and that's what they need. All these social programs that are beginning to be cut, is it's making the community destabilized. The kids don't have anything to do. They're fighting for spaces at the community centers. They can only go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between certain times. These community centers should be open all the time. And the policy with the Green Party is about family unification, more times for families. So when you reduce the work burden, like the Green Party wants to set up that a mandatory 3 weeks minimum for paid vacation. When you do things like this, you allow families to connect with their youth and guide them more in a respectful manner. Right now, there's a big.
Is that a good way to combat crime? Some of those very tactics.
Definitely, you need strong community involvement. You need youth to see a good example in front of them. That's why I volunteer at the Malvern Family Resource Center, and I go to the Scarborough Youth Resource Center all over the city. A lot of people know me for youth community work, and it's not done by pay. This is all done out of goodwill. So the more people that step up in the community and do these type of things, is you will see the youth crime rate keep going down and empower the youth to know their rights when they are faced with difficult situations.
Okay,
I actually agree with George on that too. Working with the Malvern Alumni Group, which is the youth civic engagement and mentorship arm of the Action for Neighborhood Change, I do understand and know that as with strong role models in the community and with strong sustainable programs that our youth can be engaged in, that's how we're going to be able to continue to decrease the crime rate in our community.
Let's get back to the phones. Here's Pavan calling from Rouge-River. Pavan, what is your question for the candidates here this evening?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. And
most welcome.
I'm a single working parent with 2 children, and the elder one is in the university, and my son is autistic, and I pay taxes, and also I cannot leave my son in a subsidized daycare or any daycare because they need a one-on-one therapy. So I leave my son after school and holidays in a private home, and I pay cash, and I have no way to claim it back. Okay, and also I want my daughter to walk around in the night like men without any problem, with safety. So to which party I should vote and for why?
Based on those 2 issues of proper care?
I don't believe mostly sexual assault and everything, not because of poverty or anything. And most of the gun-related violence are not only because of poverty. And this is because something else. So these are the 2 questions. First of all, I'm paying cash for everything, and I have no way to return because I cannot use the daycares or subsidized daycares. And the second one is my daughter also should go around in the night like other guys without any fear.
Without fearing for her safety.
Yeah. So
right.
Which party I have to vote? And
well, I'll get them to respond, but you'll still have to decide for yourself, right?
Which party will address my issues?
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On these 2 issues, safety, when you're walking, he's worried about his daughter walking around late at night, special assistance and help with an autistic child.
Well, I think regarding safety, I intend to work with all levels of government. The federal level just can't do it on local issues. I intend to work with the municipal government as well as the province to see how we can implement more strict laws within the municipalities. And I'm willing to sit down as a member of parliament to go through these issues with the residents and find out what really is the problems that are the main focus of the issues in Scarborough Rouge. And the province has already got money from the federal level, and they should be also involved in extending programs for daycares. I think it's more on the provincial level.
What about fighting autism itself? That's really what his concern was.
Also, I think we will have to look more into this, and like I said, as a member of parliament, I will look into every issue where I can address the residents of Scarborough Rouge-River.
Okay, all right. Rathika, let's hear from you on those 2 issues.
Sure. The NDP is the party that sponsored the legislation that came closest to passing in the House of Commons. This was a landmark Early Learning and Childcare Act that would have implemented permanent national childcare spots. In 1993, the Liberal government had said that they would implement 150,000 spaces, national childcare spaces. After 3 successive majority governments, 12 years later, we still have not seen a single one of those spots open. The NDP is the only one who's committed to doing that. We're committed to, within the first 100 days of governing, that we will work to make those practical first steps.
What about the safety issues?
Safety issues. The Conservative government, once again, is broken. It cut funding to women's safety, women's issues in our communities are not important to the current Conservative government. And Mr. Pavan, you said that you're concerned about your young girl, your child growing up and her safety going home. The Conservative government cut funding to women's advocacy organizations that were addressing the root causes of women's issues and women's safety related concerns in our community, and this type of stuff needs to be stopped. I myself am talking to many other people like you in our community, Pavan, and they're feeling the same way, and myself as a young woman in our community, I need to make sure that I'm safe and that all of our young girls are safe in our communities.
Okay, George Singh, let me hear from you on those two things.
Yep. Well, in regards to crime, from running municipally, I've found out that the area Rouge-River is not well lit. One of the major things that the area has to do is increase the lighting, that people will have a safer time walking around. And then the second thing with that regard is you have to take the desire of crime out of the people in the area. You have to attack things such as substance abuse, where a lot of crime stems from. When you get these young people or these people who engage in criminal activities on the right path, you're not going to have so much fear and so much disrespect and harm in the society. When it comes to childcare, the Green Party has a platform based on national care policy, national child care policy, and that will enable people to send their kids to school at a younger age where they're not worried about their daycare, and they'll also be able to focus on the in-school daycares. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and when she was going to school, it was very convenient to have her daycare within the school. I was able to drop her off early enough to get to work. She goes to school, she goes to daycare, goes to school, and then I pick her up, she's at the daycare. And these are the type of things that the government has enough money and enough funding to actually incorporate instead of wasting it on these other scams and scandals that they've been doing.
Okay, let's go to...
I'd like to finish. The Conservative Party has funded these programs, and parents have a choice to decide which daycare they want them to go to. And like I said before, it's
the Conservative government is funding daycare programs?
Or through the province. It goes through the province. The Conservative Party is sending, it always, every year, provides the funding to the province. It's the province that has to also, along with the municipalities, to work along with this. And so we do have programs with this, and we are talking about municipal issues.
We need a national daycare.
For safeties, we need to work together with the municipalities. It first comes from the municipalities.
No, the leadership should come from the federal level. The leadership should come from the federal representative. We need a national child care program.
The NDP is always promising a lot of things, but they've never really put out stuff.
Actually, you cannot say that. The NDP and Jack Layton and the NDP are the only ones
they have been focused, and their economy is on track, and we should focus first on that. If the economy does well,
the economic plan is on focus. You're right. You are very right, Marlene. The NDP's economic plan is very on focus.
Sure, George. Go ahead,
we're the only ones who have been...
At the end of the day, the services aren't being delivered properly. That's why I know people that are on a waiting list for over a year for their children to go to daycare. So no matter if the Conservatives have funded it, or the Liberals or the NDP, it's not being done correctly right now. And that's why we need people inside office that are going to do these things correctly and actually pay attention to the issues.
All right. Let me go back for another question here. Here's Nigel on the line. Nigel, what is your question for the candidates?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I'm one of those people who live in the community who are still looking for a job, and so it's really confusing when I hear, some parties saying that there's jobs, but I can't find any. I don't see any. And I want training. I want somebody's training. I agree that I think we need to do something about the environment. So I want to know, how are they going to create real jobs in my community for people like me? Because we haven't seen it. I keep hearing that people saying that there's some job, some recovery, but I haven't seen it. I'm not seeing it. My neighbors aren't seeing it.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Nigel. Nigel's looking for a job. Marlene Gallyot?
This is the reason why I said, as an immigration consultant, I had the opportunity to encourage entrepreneurs and investors to come to this country. I intend to encourage investors to come to Scarborough Rouge-River and to invest, to create more jobs locally. This is what I intend to do. And like I said, the economic action plan, municipalities had also received funds from the province and from the region, and we have already done projects that have created
No, but
jobs.
I think we're more focused on what's going to happen going ahead, not looking back.
This is what I intend to do. I want to create more jobs. As a small business owner, I know the difficulties that people face, and now with this employment insurance benefit that's going to be given to small business owners, we'll be creating more jobs. And I'm definitely, as soon as I elected, if you give me the pleasure to be your next member of parliament, this is what I want to do. I will encourage investors to come and invest in Scarborough.